Welcome to the Lock and Load podcast. My name is Josh. I own Lock and Load Firearms. I am joined by my co-host,
Michelle from Patriot Wear Holsters.
and we have a guest speaker today. His name is Diesel, and he is from Delta Defense, the service provider for the USCCA.
Yay.
Hey, guys. So, at this point, I'll just introduce myself.
Yeah.
So, my name is Diesel. I've been a firearms instructor for the last 15 years. Taught over 9,600 students the USCCA curriculum. And, one of the biggest things that I really found and why and what attracted me to the USCCA and their curriculum was, at the end of the day, I want to make sure that I'm prepared and I want to make sure that I'm responsible. And I'm sure that many of you guys do as well. So, when we talk about the USCCA membership, which we're going to probably go into lengths.
Yeah.
But, when we talk about it, that's what really attracted me to the USCCA was just that alone. Just something that gave me an opportunity to really dig into what education's there and what I can benefit from it.
Okay. So, Lock and Load Firearms is official partners with the USCCA. We do offer free classes.
Wait, free?
Weekly, free.
Free?
Free, F-R-E-E, free.
Like
Awesome.
free.
That's good.
Through the USCCA. We do 4 curriculums on a rotating basis, building a home and personal protection plan. That one actually has nothing to do with firearms.
Yep.
That literally just has to do with how to protect your house in different ways and teaching a bit about situational awareness. The other one is 6 things you didn't know when the police arrive. That one's a really interesting curriculum. It also goes into how your brain and body works under stress. So some scientific stuff in there. Another one, Should I Shoot? And then legal use of force. Those are pretty similar curriculums, but then they tail off to their own separate areas towards the end of that curriculum. We do those on a rotating basis. We try to run each of them once a month. Doesn't always happen, but we try. Normally on the weekdays and normally around 7 p.m. in our classroom here. If you want a full list of which ones are available and when, go to my Facebook page, Lock and Load Firearms LLC, and then click the event tab. And all of them will be on there. You can also go to my website and also sign up for our emails, and then we send out a mass email once we get them scheduled. Out of those 4, which is your favorite?
Me personally, I think it would have to be the 6 things you didn't know after the police arrived.
Yeah, that was a new one too.
Yeah, that's one of the more recent ones.
Yeah.
And there's so much stuff that for me, I was like, whoa, like I never knew this was going to happen.
There's a lot of big words in there too, like amygdala,
Yes.
hippocampus.
There is.
I really messed up on the word amygdala when I first taught that class.
So to the point where he had students telling him how to
My brain
say
was
the words.
my brain was not working.
Those are just the simple woes of being a firearms instructor.
Yeah. That Southington High School, Tungus Community College, and CCSU education did not get the word amygdala down. It does now, though. Okay, we got that now.
Life skills.
Man.
Yeah, life skills. That's probably my favorite one to teach, too. Definitely the most interesting because, you can see people's brains processing how their brains process things, which is pretty interesting in the class.
And, to that point, too, is, when you have a classroom of 10 to, 25, 30 people, and you're seeing each of everybody engage with the curriculum in which you're teaching, it's absolutely amazing feeling, right? Because now they're not just sitting there mindless, droneless, just there. They're actually learning information.
Because it's not like a class that's required to get your permit or something. It's typically they want to be there because they want to learn additional things. And being free is always a plus. So sign up for those classes, take those classes. They are right here in Southington, typically start at 7 p.m., go to approximately 9 p.m. So, go have your dinner first and then come over and get a free class.
Do you have to be a USCCA member to take the classes?
You do not.
No. Interesting. That's awesome.
At all.
Okay.
So, and normally there's a free gift that comes with it too, like a little notepad from the USCCA or something like that too.
Well, the other benefit to that comes in that free gift is there's $100 and something worth of free training.
Yeah.
That you just scan with your phone. You have access to all of it right there.
Yep.
Oh,
so those are always cool too.
Okay.
So let's talk a little bit more about the USCCA. Behind Diesel's head there, they have a nice little banner we have here for you. We educate, we train, we save lives. So, what is the USCCA, and how does it promote like responsible carry?
Yeah, so it's really been the mission of the USCCA to train, prepare responsibly armed Americans by giving them the tools and the courage to really build the confidence to protect what matters most to them, and typically that's our families, right? So when we really talk about the USCCA and we really get into the weeds, it's literally just about that. It's about the training and education to make yourself have the confidence.
Okay. What are some like key benefits for the USCCA? So like, what are the perks?
Yeah. So all right.
There's a lot of perks.
There
right?
are a ton of perks.
So why don't we start with some of the training perks?
Yeah. So training perks. So they have what's called the Protector Academy, and this is really where you're going to go. You're going to train, and there's everything. And it's not necessarily about guns either. It's about self-defense as a whole. So they talk about situational awareness. They talk about legal use of force. If you're into AR-15s, if you're into handguns or rifles or whatever the case may be, they have a course that's set up specifically for you guys.
There's also a women's only portion.
So they have a women dedicated portion.
Nice.
That's inside the Protector Academy. So, it's definitely there. Beth Alcazar, who is an amazing individual. She is one of the best female instructors that the USCCA has. And she goes through and she teaches you everything about firearms by a woman.
Nice. I bet you that's a definite draw for women.
Oh, absolutely. Especially, as the firearms instructor, right? What is it for me to teach a female how to carry a gun? Right? Because let's be honest, I'm going to be brutally honest now. I don't wear a wig. I don't know what it's like to be a female.
A wig won't necessarily make that happen, but I get it.
Hey, we're not getting canceled here, okay? Let's go on YouTube.
Sorry.
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, my biggest question to a lot of females is, what man can teach you how to carry a gun? You really should seek out a female instructor. And you really need to kind of go and travel those routes. Now, I'm not saying don't go to see a male instructor. I'm just saying in general, though, women typically learn from women better than men.
So on that note, if you guys have been following us since the beginning, I did say we were getting guests on. Deziel's our first guest. Later in the next, I'll say, bunch of episodes, we will be having a female USCCA and NRA instructor from the state of Connecticut, lives in the state of Connecticut, coming in and coming onto a podcast. We're still trying to confirm a date right now because trying to line up 3 people's schedules is fun. But that'll be coming in a later episode, somewhere probably a month plus from now. So we'll definitely be talking about that. Michelle, question for Deziel?
No, I like the idea of the situational awareness, because we live in a society that doesn't necessarily do that automatically anymore.
So many people lack situational awareness.
Yeah.
It is amazing. And so many people with guns, too, that carry guns.
And see, the important part is no matter whether you carry or you don't carry, you have to know what's going on around you. But if you are carrying a firearm, you should be more diligent in that avenue. And, we're in a society where, unfortunately, we all do it. Our phones are whipped out. We're looking what's going on our phones, and we're zoned. It's something you have to reteach yourself, because we're so used to not worrying about all that. So that's awesome.
It's something you really have to learn by doing. Like working for the Armored Truck Company for 3 years, that's where I learned that. I learned not to rely on my eyesight all the time, because I was busy doing something. I was working on, an ATM or something, or interacting with a customer. So you got to use your sound, right? Your ears. Pay attention to that. Even though I have glasses on all the time since 3rd grade, use that peripheral vision, because motion, it's blurry, but I can see. So stuff like that, and not being on your phone. That's actually part of the building a home defense plan curriculum. There's a couple slides on not being on your phone.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty cool one.
I can tell you, even the USCCA, they have those games that you can play with your significant others that will really train people on how to be more situationally aware.
Yeah. Didn't you used to do one with your wife, right?
Oh yeah. Anytime we go to the store, we'll just play this game, and the game's pretty easy and makes sense. So you walk around the store, you say, "Hey, I think the guy in the green shirt," just to each other.
Yeah.
And
out loud.
Right. You're not going to be like, "Hey man, do you got a gun?" But we play this game, and it allows us to be more situational aware. And at the end of the day, if I'm right, I get a point. If she's right, she gets a point. And then what we do is we buy each other dinner, whoever loses.
I think
Nice.
Diesel loses a lot.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah. Happens.
Is it on purpose, though? That's the question. Is he just making her feel good?
No.
No.
I love my wife.
Okay.
Anyways. So, while most of our viewers are here in Connecticut, I guess, I don't know if we have any out-of-state viewers. If we do, comment on whatever platform you're watching and let us know.
Yeah.
But carry laws vary from state to state. People like to travel from state to state. We, at Lock and Load Firearms, we do those non-resident courses to get additional permits. Myself, I hold Florida, Utah, and Massachusetts. So how does the USCCA help navigate that?
So they have the reciprocity app.
If you guys want to, you should be able to see that QR code pretty clearly, and you can actually download that on your phone. It is completely free.
Yes.
Keep talking.
Okay, just checking.
Leave it up there for a minute.
You were talking. I didn't want to overtalk you. Anyway. So, yeah, they have the reciprocity app, which allows you to put in your permit of whichever state you have. It'll actually show you what states you can and can't travel to. And it also gives you a step-by-step, hey, these are the significant laws in each one of those states. So that's the coolest thing about that.
I have a question, though.
Yeah.
So you said the states you can travel or you can't travel to.
Correct.
They can travel to any of them. It's just where they'd be able to carry, correct?
Travel through.
Right.
So,
So,
like-
but that's what I'm saying. If if they're landing in a state that they can't carry, and they need to know that the gun shouldn't go with them.
Correct.
Okay.
I mean,
They
that's
can
on
travel there.
Yeah.
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 You
So
can
if they're
always-
carrying a firearm, right?
Right. But if your end destination
It's somewhere
is
you cannot carry.
then
Correct.
you
You have
probably
issues.
shouldn't bring your gun.
Correct.
So that's on the responsible individual.
Right.
But the information is there to go and help you, and it's all in one place, which
Right.
is nice too than like Googling everything,
Yeah.
And that's what I do.
because Google's not always right.
No, I Google and then I go to the states and I look at the different state laws for when I'm traveling cross country, so I know which states I have to not stop in and that kind of stuff.
That's a lot of work. You know where you could
is.
get that really easily?
I think there's a QR code. Somebody said.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know what? It's right here again for you guys. Right
Yes.
there for you.
I didn't know that was
Scan that
there.
QR code.
Imagine that.
Or you can go to the Apple Play Store or the Apple Store or the Play Store.
You combine that into the Apple Play.
Yeah, Apple Play Store. And just type in USCCA reciprocity, or just type in USCCA and it'll pop up. I believe it's the second or third one down.
Yeah. All right. So we touched on the education aspect of the USCCA. There is a ton of stuff in what they call the Protector Academy, right?
Yep.
How do we access that?
So once you become a member, you have access. So what they're going to do is they're going to send you an email, and then you log in right there. It sets up your password. If you have a spouse, you can set them up too. All the access you have is right either by your phone, a computer, a tablet. It doesn't matter how you want to access it. All the videos work on all platforms.
Okay, cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yep.
Yeah. Some websites are set up really bad.
Yeah. I mean,
So that's nice.
the training section of the USCCA membership's been around forever. I don't know the exact date in which it developed.
Forever's a long time.
Okay. Well,
Since the beginning of time.
Been around for a significant period of time.
but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, there's like 440 videos on there. There's checklists, there's guides, there's qualifications. There's a whole bunch of education and stuff that's there ready for you guys to use.
There's also the Ask a Lawyer series too, right?
Yeah, so that's something that I've really kind of dived into the last couple months, was the 28 hours of listening to attorneys talk.
It's like two Netflix shows, two
Yeah.
Netflix seasons right there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's insane. And the cool thing is they took a lot of the members' questions and they posed them to an attorney, which allowed the attorney to really sit down and go, okay, this is what this is. So if you know, yeah, it's super like cool.
Because listening to attorneys talk can be very dry, but if they're questions that people are posing, they're looking for those answers. So that's fantastic.
Right.
Instead of just droning out, normal rhetoric.
Yep. And it's not
awesome.
And the cool thing is the attorney that talks, he is so it's not legalese. It's normal conversation, and it makes it super easy for you to understand.
So it brings it down into layman's terms, so anybody and everybody can understand where he's going.
100%.
That's awesome.
One of the cool things that was probably released more than a year ago now, Colin Noir. I'm saying that right? They went through some scenarios in like a restaurant.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. Like they had I think it was SIRT guns, right? The laser pistols.
Yeah. Well,
or was it the CO2 ones?
No. So the ones that they use are the laser ones, but they have the haptic feedback vests.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, what do I do when this happens?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So that's called proving grounds.
Okay.
And Colin Noir's done one. I believe there was some members and Delta Defense employees and stuff like that have gone through that. But yeah, it is like there's one in camping.
Oh.
Like, hey, if my gun's in the camper and somebody attacks me outside, how do I access it? What do I do?
Oh.
And they run through people that, never been through that situation, and they go through it. And it's absolutely cool because they teach you not only, hey, you could have done this, you did great, but you could have done this a little bit better, and here's why.
Oh.
And it makes you think about it, yeah.
So do we have any stories like from the USCCA and like where these memberships have like actually helped people?
Yeah, I mean, there's countless, obviously, stories that I could sit here and probably tell you guys. The biggest one right now is Brian's story. Right?
That's a popular one.
Yeah, and when we talk about Brian, he was going to, so his ex-wife called him.
Yep.
It was like, hey, can you help me, move out of my house? Well, she was previously beat the night before by her boyfriend.
Yeah, partner.
And so Brian had went over to help them, brought their daughter along to help, and sure enough, the guy comes back to the house, tries to get into the house to get in between them, and Brian was like, look, just go. Like, we don't want you here. The guy kept approaching. He kept coming up the stairs. Finally, Brian had enough, and he kicked him down back off of the stairs. And you figure, that would have de-escalated the situation.
Yeah.
Right? Like, a normal person would be like, oh, man, I just did what I had to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to go call 911. So Brian went out to his truck, and he dialed 911, but there's the guy walking up the driveway with the metal bat or a metal pipe over his head.
He had left and
came back, found a pipe somewhere and came back.
And so Brian, obviously said, stop or I'll shoot. And I think he said another phrase too in the meaning, and the guy wasn't coming or wasn't stopping. And let me tell you, I mean, between the three of us, if somebody had a metal pipe over their head and they're walking towards you.
His daughter was in the car.
Right. His daughter was in the car too. So he let one round go, called 911. The police came. They arrested the bad guy. They arrested him. Charged him with a whole bunch of charges only like 3 hours and 17 minutes after he was interrogated and all of that. So it was quick charges.
Yeah.
And then he sat in jail. He sat in jail, and then he realized that he was a USCCA member.
He sat in there for months, I believe, before he realized that.
Yeah. A month and a half, 2 months, I believe. Don't quote me on that. Yeah.
It was a longer time because he totally forgot about the membership.
Yep.
Well, because your mind isn't thinking straight, and you're just dealing now with being charged.
Yep.
I'm sure.
So I believe a family member actually called.
Yeah.
For him, and then they got an attorney for him, and they posted his bond. He was out, and fighting that legal battle at that point.
Yeah. So in the video, it was what, 63?
68.
$500. I remember the
$68,500
in attorney fees that the USCCA covered.
Yeah.
Now I would assume most of us don't have $68,000 to go and spend on an attorney. Not that any of us would ever want to spend that amount of money on an attorney.
Well, and also realize that happened a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
This is now 2023, and then most of your viewers live in Connecticut,
Yep.
of all places.
Laws
So-
are getting harder.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Laws are getting harder. Prices are getting worse. Inflation keeps increasing. And don't even try to go buy a house. You don't want to see what that interest rate is.
So what you're saying is we're essentially circling the drain.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, when we talk about the cost, right? When we talk about the cost of a general lawyer, right? Just a self-defense attorney here in Connecticut, you're looking at like $56,000. Wow. And that's not even if we go to trial, right? If you go to trial, you're looking at upwards of $115,000.
Well, because you got to think they're charging anywhere for a good lawyer. It's $300 to $500 or better an hour.
Yep.
For their time.
I'm in the wrong business. I went to law school.
And then if you even say the word self-defense, that price skyrockets.
Yep.
So, when we talk about all of this stuff, it's really important that people are aware of what this is going to cost if they're ever forced to use their firearm like Brian.
Yeah. And with crime increasing, break-ins increasing,
Yep.
that likelihood is increasing, especially in Connecticut and like even in little towns or little big towns like Southington.
Little big town.
We're a town, but we have the population of a city. It's a whole other. If you live in Southington, you know what I'm talking about. But like crime's happening here.
It's spilling everywhere, but that's also because the criminals feel like they're invincible now.
Yeah.
They're being let go. It's a catch and release issue with them. So they just feel like nothing can stop them. They can do whatever they want.
Yeah. And that's what's happening. It doesn't make me feel good in this state. I mean, in other places too, like there's worse cities and towns out there.
It's all across the U.S., I believe, at this point in time. Crime, just general crime. I'm not going to go into what kinds and all this, but general crimes, I think, are increasing. And a lot of it's societal. Sometimes, a lot of it's laws. A lot of it's the way laws are executed, and charges are being brought.
Yeah.
But
So, when it comes to like legal protection for the U.S. For like concealed carry holders, pistol firearm holders, what should like individuals be aware of?
So a couple different things. So one, when you become a USCCA member, you're added onto the USCCA's self-defense liability insurance policy as an additionally insured. And what that essentially means is it's no different than when you talk about your car insurance, right? Mom and dad bought the policy, you're added on to it.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of the way I explain it because it makes more sense to people that way. Now, when we talk about, legal defense and we talk about all of this type of stuff, realize there's a couple benefits to having the membership and having the self-defense liability insurance policy that was issued to the USCCA. One is no limit defense expenses for both criminal or civil court. So the cool thing is, what attorney is going to turn you down with an open checkbook?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I don't know of a single one in Connecticut.
No, attorneys like money.
Yeah. So, and then once you get off criminally, then we have
Civil.
civil.
Well, take Kyle Rittenhouse, for example, right? Got off criminally and now is going through civil court, and that's expensive too.
Yep. I mean, and the other thing a lot of people don't realize is in civil court, the burden of proof is significantly lower than the burden of proof in criminal court. So
yeah.
that's why when we talk about all of this stuff, you have to be prepared not only for the criminal fight, but the civil fight as well.
Well, and I just got to put this out there. It really doesn't have anything to do with any of this, but I have to say, I think it's sad that in today's day and age, if they break the law, if they are the criminal, that they then can come back and sue the person that they have harmed or intended to harm or taken their property. I have a real hard time with that.
It goes back to like somebody breaks in your house and they cut their arm in the window, they can sue you.
Yes.
That shouldn't be
Or,
the
yeah,
case.
No, that's my problem
Like
with this.
you ran out of my house and you tripped and fell and broke your leg. life sucks, man.
You made
Like,
decisions.
Yeah.
So there's your consequences.
Yep, your actions have consequences.
But unfortunately, they don't. They come back, and
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
I wish.
And that just goes to more of a reason, right? Because let's talk about homeowners insurance really quick. So an act of self-defense is an intentional act. And intentional acts are excluded on 99 point. I don't know if this is the actual statistic, but a lot of homeowners policies, significant amount. And now we're using a tool for self-defense, and the homeowners in homeowners' eyes, that's an act of intentional act.
Yeah, from the homeowner insurance policy.
Correct. So that's why the self-defense liability insurance policy is a big thing,
right?
Because you have to have some sort of protection, and that's why this exists.
A lot of people don't think about that when carrying a firearm. Like I'll go back to when I first got my pistol permit years ago. Not as many as Michelle. You saw that was coming on there. I saw that look.
Damn.
But like, I was never aware of this. I had no idea. I signed up to go get my pistol permit because I was like, sure, I'll go buy a gun and go to the range.
Yeah.
And like now you see where I am, so that's changed.
There's a lot of responsibility in being a gun owner, and people only see it to that point of shooting at the range, doing shooting sports, and being able to defend themselves. And then their thought process stops.
Yeah.
There is so much more that comes with it, and in general, just in handling yourself, forget about self-defense, just handling yourself, who you're going to actually have a confrontation with. Is it worth it, or do you just walk away? As a gun owner, it's made me a lot calmer.
Shark Tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Shark Tank analogy.
Right. I mean, that's one of the staples
Michelle,
of that curriculum.
Do you know what the Shark Tank analogy is?
I don't.
Okay. Diesel, what's the Shark Tank analogy?
So if you ever, and to your viewers too, if you guys could imagine having a pool of sharks in front of you, and
What kind of sharks?
great whites.
Okay.
Are they in a clear tank, or is it kind of fuzzy?
No,
It's a clear tank.
You can see all of these sharks just swimming in circles, waiting
I
for
like
you to
that.
drop something in.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you were to drop your cell phone in, would you run in and grab it?
No.
Okay. But if your daughter fell into the pool, would you risk your life to get her? Depends if you like her.
The answer is yes, of course.
Right.
That was a long pause there.
So when we talk about that, that's the Shark Tank analogy, and that's how I look at defensive use of a firearm or defensive use of whatever.
Yeah, what the saying is, if it isn't worth dying over, it isn't worth killing over.
Correct.
Correct.
And and that's one of the biggest staples about that curriculum is whether or not if you can drop something into a Shark Tank and not go in after it, well, you probably shouldn't have pulled your gun.
Yeah.
Agreed. Absolutely. And absolutely. And you hear people all the time saying, "Oh no, I'd protect. I would do this, and I would jump in this, and I'd be the hero." Not using that term, and to be totally honest, the responsibility that comes with being the hero.
It's expensive.
It's expensive, and it's one of those things where you got to think twice. Is there somebody, can you remove yourself and call the cops?
I mean,
Might be better.
Sometimes better to be a good witness.
So with that being said, you ready for this question, Michelle?
Oh, I don't know.
I'm going to pick your brain.
No.
What do you think the average bond in Connecticut is for a lawful act of self-defense over the last 3 years? Everything from hands and feet to a firearm, all charges included.
I think it's going to probably be high.
Okay.
So I'd say probably 150.
Okay. That's definitely a good guess. So
Not even close.
are you ready?
So he bumps me up to kick me down. I get this. Okay.
See, I lift you up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, no, slam dunk.
I see how this is working.
No, it's crazy because it's $545,000.
What?
Yeah. Yep.
And that means bail is 10% of that. So that's $54,500 that you have to come up with out of pocket to get out of jail.
On top of all of the attorney fees and everything else, if you're not a member.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, when
USCCA covers up to
$100,000
which is $1 million
in bond.
In bond.
Yeah.
So that right there,
Yeah.
I think is let alone the attorney fees.
Yeah.
It's just the bond being posted.
Well, not only that, but they also have like incidentals,
Yeah.
which is amazing, right? So the gun that you used in that self-defense act or whatever the case may be,
$2,000 Gucci Glock.
yeah.
Yep,
I mean,
gone.
are you? Yeah, you're. Let's be honest. You're never going to see that again, even if it's a 7-year waiting period on evidence. So you have at least 7 years before. Well, that's what part of that incidentals is for. It allows you to go and purchase the same make and model that you had or used.
It's also the being out of work too.
Yeah. So that was the big
Yeah.
thing too. Was they give you essentially whatever missed time that you have, whether it be going to court, having talking with your lawyer, anytime you miss from work, they have up to $750 a day that they can
Really?
Yeah.
That's a
it's
huge help, because when you're arrested, you're going to sit in jail. You probably miss work that, waiting to be heard.
Yeah. I mean, it's
or
huge.
gathering
And
your money.
yes, you're going to have to prove your income, right? But at the end of the day, that's what that's for.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And then the other cool thing too is like when we talk about all of this stuff, and we talk about criminal defense attorneys, and we talk about all of these things, right? Most people, they're like, oh, they're just going to give me an attorney. Well, not exactly. I mean, you can pick your own attorney. So let's say Uncle Joe's an attorney out of Meriden, right? Hey, he's covered a case before, so why not again? Cool. You can pick Uncle Joe. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or you can pick any of the 1,300 attorneys on the USCCA network.
Yep.
Which is pretty freaking cool.
That is access to a ton of attorneys. Any of them. We have more than a dozen in the state of Connecticut that are on there.
Yeah. And the cool, you go to the Protector Academy.
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing. You go to the emergency button. You go to scroll down about halfway down the page, and it says find your representation. You click that. You call the USCCA. You say, hey, I talked to an attorney here in Connecticut. I want this attorney as my first line of defense. And they're going to put him on your profile.
Huh.
Yeah, which is super cool.
So then if you get into a critical incident.
Yep, you call the critical response team. They're the ones who call your attorney.
Okay.
Your attorney shows up to wherever you are. Mm-hmm. The other cool thing that I like about the critical response team is they're actually going to call your spouse. Yeah, so,
Interesting.
I got another question for you.
Do you want him called?
No, and I mean, yeah, well, but how much better do you think, let's even use my wife. How much better do you think my wife's going to feel if she got a phone call saying, hey, your husband Diesel was just in a critical incident. Her attorney's on the, his attorney's on the way. Everything's being taken care of. He's going to call you as soon as he possibly can. How are you and what questions do you have? Right? How much better do you think she's going to feel?
The second you get home, she's going to beat your
That's
ass.
fine. She's Italian. She can. I'm not saying they're going to make her put down the frying pan. I'm just, they're helping the situation, and that's what they're for. So,
It's a much better option than just going, where the heck's my husband?
right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that is a much better option. I had one question, though.
Yeah, shoot.
For the defense, does this cover you even if you're traveling and have to use your firearm out of the state?
Yeah, so it's all 50 states and U.S. territories.
Okay.
So let's say you go to Puerto Rico, right? Do you want a Puerto Rican attorney or do you want a Connecticut attorney?
But if I'm in Puerto Rico, I can still have a Connecticut attorney?
Well, if you wanted.
I mean, that's going to be expensive.
Well, in reasonably speaking, but you'd probably want a Puerto Rican attorney, right?
Yeah.
Because they know the language, they know the laws, they know all the ifs, ands, and buts around it.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you absolutely wanted a Connecticut attorney over in Puerto Rico,
No.
You can
Why
pick
would
one of
you-
those 1,300
you can
pre-approved
pick
attorneys.
whoever you
Well,
want.
that's what I was going, why would you do that?
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, and just for me, myself, I've been a member since 2008, and it's been more than a lifestyle for me, because once I became a member, I became a firearms instructor. Once I became a firearms instructor, I did that for a couple years, taught over a ton of students, and then I became a training counselor. And the biggest thing is education and training has to be a staple in anybody that's carrying a gun. I
agree with that. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's that's the hardest thing to get through to people.
Yeah,
when
it's
they first
continued
get-
training.
Yeah, when they first get permits, because I mean, think about it. You don't have any knowledge, you don't have any knowledge as far as being a gun owner. You're new, okay? So you're a newbie into this world. So your goal is get your permit, which is a process, and then go get your gun.
Yeah.
And then you think, okay, I'll go to the range, but there's
We're
so
gonna
many.
shoot some holes in paper.
Yeah, but there's so much more that people, and I love when I talk to people that are doing continuing education and they're doing the USCCA classes or any classes out there. I love that because we can always learn something no matter how much we know. There's always more information out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
And
Absolutely.
it makes us better gun owners, more responsible gun owners, which is, that's what they demonize us all the time, but it's our job to do that.
Yeah, I mean, and they're constantly putting new material that's relevant to today on the Protector Academy,
Oh, that's awesome.
right? So it like their newest thing is what the children's firearms,
Yeah.
right? It allows you to go in and learn how to teach your children about firearms and all of the things you can do, and then here, hopefully, in I would say first quarter, second quarter next year.
Yeah, first quarter when I get back from the wedding and honeymoon.
Yeah, so once Josh gets back from his lovely wedding and honeymoon, he's going to start teaching that course. So you have that conversation with your kids, and then you come in and you see a USCCA instructor like Josh. It adds to the...
Or maybe Michelle.
Or maybe Michelle will,
Maybe,
you know,
maybe.
no.
With all these changing rules and curriculums. This isn't really, it is USCCA related. As soon as the state released their new rules for the instructors, I called up the official partner line and instructor line.
Yep.
I don't know if they're the same line or not, but I think they are.
There's partner support, and then there's instructor support.
Okay.
Well, they said both when they picked up, so.
So it's probably the same, yeah.
Okay. And which was really cool because he, like, in his little notes, I guess, he knew who I talked to the day before, which was on his team or whatever. And I was like, hey, I talked to somebody, it was literally yesterday, and I was like, the state was releasing their stuff, and I got it from the state, so, like, I wanted to pass it along so you guys could update your curriculum as soon as possible to make my life and, other USCCA instructors' lives easier. Because it's coming from an organization rather than just like me, a little lone instructor.
Right.
And I think it's going to be really easy for them to update their training curriculum because they have their core aspect, the CC, what's the abbreviation?
CCHDF.
Yeah.
Concealed Carry Home Defense Fundamentals.
There we go, that one. And then they have the Connecticut supplement. So like they add in that and they make it part of the requirement.
Okay.
And bam, there you go, you're done. Like right on there right now, it still says you can open carry. You can't do that anymore.
Right.
So like it definitely needs to be updated.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I wish it was instantaneous.
Yeah. Oh, of course it's
But-
going to take time.
Just as the state rolls, right? It's going to take time for them to get it through to all of the lawyers and so on and so forth.
Well, hopefully you can be a little faster than them.
Well,
Well,
yeah. I mean, I know for a fact that we have people working on the supplement currently.
Yeah, they
Okay.
said as soon as he was bringing it up to their team right away.
Yep.
Because they knew about it beforehand.
Yeah.
And then they were just waiting on the state to give them guidance. And then once that rolled out, I gave them.
Yeah.
Forwarded the email from the state.
Yep.
Gave them the link and was like, here it is.
Yep. And there is also a whole bunch of other instructors too that were like, hey, I'll help you work on this.
Yeah.
So I know that they're engaging with the instructors here in Connecticut to make sure that we meet the standard.
Yeah.
That's awesome that they're letting them collaborate with it.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
fantastic because that boots on the ground are we're the
Especially probably the training counselors too that teach the teachers how to teach.
Yeah, I mean that's that is one of the biggest things is as an organization I've always looked at the USCCA as like this grassroots. It's not, but I've looked at it kind of like taking the information from below and bringing it up.
Yeah.
Right. So having them reach out to instructors and having them reach out to just people in general,
Yeah.
it helps.
So we're gonna have to wrap this up. We are over our time frame
That was not my fault.
by a little bit.
it's all DZL's fault.
DZL's
No,
fault.
no, no,
Yes,
no, no,
yes.
no, 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 no.
So if somebody wants to sign up for the USCCA, how do we do this?
So you can do it one of two ways. I believe there's going to be a link
There is a link in our link tree,
in the link tree,
in the bio of
Yep.
anywhere where you're watching this.
which should be www.uscca.com/remote. And then it's going to ask you for a code, and you just type in LNL.
For lock and load.
Correct. Outside of that, you can always come down to Lock and Load in store, and we can definitely get you a membership form. And then as soon as I get the membership form, you are now a member. So yeah, that's the easiest way to sign up.
Yeah, so either check out our link tree below or stop in store, find me or any of my employees, and we can help you out too and get you in direct contact with Deziel.
Yeah, and I mean,
If Deziel's not here.
yeah, I mean,
He's here pretty often.
and
I
if
should
you
set
guys
him
have
up like a little
questions,
office.
you know, outside of, you know, just, hey, I was thinking about this, what do you think? Or, you know, you have a question about the insurance policy or anything like that, I can definitely be available. Set it up with Josh. I'll make sure I'm here for whenever you guys want to be up here, and we can do it.
Yeah, if you guys have questions for Deziel, send me a message. I'll give you his contact info, and we'll get you connected with him.
Yep.
You can also put comments on this.
Yeah, comment wherever you guys are watching this. So if you don't know, this is on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, Facebook, and Instagram, all under the name Lock and Load Podcast. I'm creative.
I liked it.
It's co-branding, okay? And so wherever you're watching this, there should be a comment section, maybe everywhere except Amazon. I know there is on Spotify. There's a little Q&A section. Definitely on YouTube, and obviously Instagram and Facebook have their comments. We've been getting a lot more views on Facebook, but we cross-post on all of them. It's pretty easy to do. So comment below there, and then make sure to tag us too. You can either tag Patriot Rear Holsters or Lock and Load Firearms, just to make sure we get those questions, because I get a lot of notifications on Facebook, to be honest.
I've been going through, and I've been watching so that we can get back to people, because I also want to know if there's any questions that we should do a follow-up on.
Yeah.
But so far, we've been pretty good.
So I'm sure we'll have Deziel back, either, you know, from Delta Defense, or just, you know, Deziel will put on the instructor hat one day.
Yeah, I'll actually have my my instructor shirt.
Yeah.
It's going to be all official like.
Right. And then we'll do another one with him. Any other follow-ups or any questions or comments? No, good.
I'm good.
Michelle?
No, I have learned a lot today.
Yeah.
Yes, I am very happy to be part of this.
All right. So my name's Josh. I own Lock and Load Firearms.
I'm Michelle with Patriot Wear Holsters.
And Deziel, Delta Defense.
There you go. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to subscribe, and we will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.